Hello there, this is ETV Special Edition and I'm Sintayo Tamrat with this edition. With this edition, I'll try to dwell on humanitarian aid in northern Ethiopia, particularly in the war-torn region, especially in Tigray. And also we'll try to see the needs as well as the government efforts by different civil society organizations and more. And to tell us more on this issue, I'm joined here in the studio by Jimma Dilbo, Director General of Authority for Civil Society Organizations in Ethiopia. Thank you so much for joining me. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sintayo, for having me.
Well, as I told you, this special edition session will dwell on the humanitarian assistance in Tigray region in particular. And but let's try to see the environment for civil society organizations first. Since 2019, after the legal framework was changed for civil society organizations, there have been just some changes. But is there any conducive environment, real change for civil society organizations operating in Ethiopia?
Yes, thank you so much once again. This is a very critical question, whether a conducive working environment is there on the ground or not. The reformist government have had a very serious perception toward this changing the wrong perception that has been existed in the country, especially following the enactment of the Charities and Societies Law in 2009. The operational space of the civil society organizations has been hampered for about a decade, and then following the reform, one of the area which the government has embarked on and changed not only the legal framework but also making the organization, the government authority who is responsible for the registration and operation of the civil society organizations to pass through intensive reform. And because of the reform that has been taken following the enactment of the new law, so many changes has been happened. Maybe one of the things that we must mention over here is that the hostile relationship that has been existed between the government and the CSO community has been curbed, completely changed, and now we can confidently say that a constructive engagement, a positive engagement has been restored or put in place. And because of this, so many organizations and individuals, locals as well as international organizations are coming to the front and getting certificate of registration without any hindrance and engaging in many developmental as well as humanitarian activities. Just as an example to show what is changed, maybe we may mention the number of organizations that has been registered since the enactment of the new law. Okay. When we start implementing the new law, we have got only 1,800 organizations that are alive. Okay. And that has able to pass through the re-registration process, because the new law demands all organization that has been existed in the previous era or previous law must re-register according to the new law. And maybe the number have been talking so many times that over 4,000 organizations are existed, but we have got only 1,800 organizations alive. But since then, after the enactment of the new law and after broadening the space, now we are able to register over 2,000, nearly 2,500 organizations. This is not a simple matter, because it has achieved something that Ethiopia never achieved in the past 10 years. Within this 3-4 years, we are able to register this number of organizations, new organizations, and now we have over nearly over 4,400 organizations in total. Not only this, we can mention so many things that shows the broadening of the space. For instance, in the law, the restrictions on the operational areas has been changed. Previously, organizations cannot engage in human rights, democratic rights-related, any right-related activities were not allowed. But after the endorsement of the new law, all these areas have been opened for all organizations, be local or international. And this is with the conviction that the Ethiopian government, especially the reform government, convinced that the engagement of civil society organizations is very crucial in our developmental endeavors, democratization endeavors, peace-building endeavors, whatever good things that we wanted to see in this country would be achieved with the engagement of not only the private sector, not only the government, but also the civil society organizations.
Okay, so the registration is one thing, and just putting in place legal framework is another good step by the government. But how are these civil society organization is operating in the country? I mean, are they satisfied with this?
Yes, I would say certainly they are satisfied. We know this through different engagements that we have. Some studies has been already conducted by different organizations, but we always evaluate our services. We always have established a very good relationship with the CSOs, and we happen to get up-to-date information about their perception. It would be good if you maybe ask them, but from our assessment, the CSO communities are very glad with this change, because it gives them more space to operate. It really gives them more areas to engage, and also all the restrictions on the previous law has been already eliminated. And also the working relationship that we have already established with the CSO community is very encouraging. Not only this, we have able to establish a joint council meeting every 4 months. We call upon all concerned authorities, like government authorities at the federal and at the local regional level, to come together and discuss about the role of the civil society organizations, what kind of role they are playing, what kind of role they should play, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, are always discussed. And the CSOs, through their CSO council, there is a council which comprises all registered civil society organizations. The council is also part of this joint council meeting, and through these processes, we came to witness that the CSO communities are very happy with the overall change in this sector.
Well, that's good. Now let's just our attention to the humanitarian assistance in the northern part of Ethiopia, particularly in Tigray, Afar, and Hara regions. And can you tell me what's going on there?
Yeah, this is a pity. I mean, after the reform, nationwide reform has taken place in Ethiopia, we soon entered into war. And because of that, so many humanitarian crises has been occurred. So many people has been displaced, properties has been damaged, and the crisis is so terrifying. And because of this, we have been calling to the CSO communities to engage in this crisis, because one of the areas that we believe CSO communities are very essential in this country is that their engagement during this kind of crises, and they have to engage when people are in need, and some of their causes are public-based. I mean, they usually begin their works with the interest of the public on the ground. Because of this, the war affected not only Tigray region but Amhara and Afar. According to the National Disaster Risk Management Commission, the study that they have done in 2002 tells us that over 22 million people are in need of humanitarian support, and for this cause over 3 billion USD is needed to respond to this humanitarian crisis. Because of this, we have been calling to the CSO communities. So far, we have made 3 national calls following the outbreak of the war. And the first and the second, through the first and the second call, we are able to mobilize over 547 million Ethiopian birr, in kind and in cash. And then we made just a couple of months ago the third call. In that third call, we are able to mobilize over 36 million Ethiopian birr in cash and in kind. This number might be small, but it shows a solidarity that brings so many CSOs to respond jointly. And also it is a call from the governing body, that is the Authority for Civil Society Organizations, and we are happy with that response, but it's not enough. We need to engage more. As a result, now we have established a task force comprised peoples from AXO as well as from the CSO communities. Now we are jointly embarking on this situation, but this thing is not primarily maybe the responsibility of AXO when we directly read the law, but in general, when we see our mandate, we have a duty to call upon the civil society organizations. It emanates from the general power that is given to us, but primarily the National Disaster Risk Management Commission is responsible. What is going on, how many people are affected, what is the amount of need for the response. All these things are actually done through that commission, and we are complementing to what they are doing. And the CSOs have been playing, honestly speaking, very great role.
That's a nice point, but I know that the council under your authority has been to Tigray recently, and what was the observation or the report is after the visit?
Yeah, thank you, Sintayo. This is also very crucial because after deadly war, the peace agreement has been signed. We are thankful for that, for all parties who have engaged in this process, and we don't want to miss this opportunity. We want the peace agreement to be applicable as it is agreed and written. And in this regard, we believe CSOs have also a role. And one of the role is first to respond to the humanitarian crisis, but the most important thing is you have to see what is on the ground. By the way, we have over 72 registered civil society organizations who are operating in Tigray. Some of them have offices here in Addis, some of them do not. And within this 2 years, there was no connection between the two CSOs who are existing here and in Tigray. And one of the things that in this trip, by the way, the trip was organized by the CSO Council, and AXO is also part of it, and we have also a representative. And according to the report that I have got from the visit, is now a new working environment has been established. We are reconnected with the people over there, especially the CSO community, and also we are able to see physically and personally the challenges that the people are facing, especially the IDPs, the internet displaced people, how they are suffering, what are the needs, and the team have had discussion with the CSOs. There is an association of CSOs in Tigray. They have had a very good discussion with them, and the outcome is very, very good, and they are so happy. They are really energized, and they are grateful for this visit, and in the future we are planning along with the CSO Council to respond accordingly. Well,
so what would you say about the humanitarian aid that have been just supplied to particularly Tigray?
Maybe in terms of quantity, it is the duty of the National Disaster Risk Management Commission. But what can I say is that the need is immense. The need is very crucial, and people are suffering. Many people are, do not have health facilities, do not have enough food to eat. do not have shelters, and they couldn't, labor to plow their land. They didn't have that kind of opportunity. Therefore, there are so many challenges, not only now, still in the future. Therefore, when you see the demand is so high. Economic crisis is there, health situation is there, so many disasters has happened, and we have learned this. Now, when we see the response of the CSO communities themselves, even the figure that I've told you earlier is very, very small. Therefore, we need to call to the CSO community as well as to the international community, our developmental partners, to invest more, to bring more support to those people who are suffering as a result of this war.
Okay. Then what special measures are just taken to address the more vulnerable groups like children and women in the humanitarian assistance process? Yeah,
actually, our law dictates us to be pro this kind of people. The CSO law is a pro-vulnerable group. It says all developmental activities, especially voluntarily motivated activities, should be directed to a vulnerable group of society like women, children, elderly people, disabilities, and so on. Okay. Therefore, all the supporters that we are gathering is usually directing primarily to those kind of people, and we are also encouraging CSO communities to intervene and act promptly to those kind of people on the ground.
Dear viewers, this has been the conversation with Jimma Dilbo, Director General of the Authority for Civil Society Organizations. Thank you so much for joining me.